When it comes to a connected world, we currently live in an era where we are able to interact with people all across the globe at the click of a button. Statistics released from Instagram have stated that there are around 95 million uploads per day, with Facebook reporting there are over 2.2 billion users, making up 30% of the total world population. These figures are incredible to say the least, and what needs to be considered is that beyond an Instagram upload or a scroll through your newsfeed, is that there is a lot of information being collected to ensure you receive an optimal experience on the internet. No matter the platform, the question that is left to ponder: how much information being collected about us is considered acceptable? This is the issue at hand of data privacy. Data privacy can extend in many forms, with this video focus on what it might mean to the user. Data privacy can be the extent to which a user is protected from having the information taken, or it could be to what degree an individual chooses to limit their activity on the internet, depending on what their actions are when online. The main method of data collection by businesses is not always evident to individuals, as the concept of a hidden piece of digital technology that gets stored on your computer when you access a website, also known as a cookie, and no, not this type of cookie, is probably the most contentious part of how data is collated. Have you ever noticed a website stating, "Help us improve your experience on our website," written in nice, bubbly font? This is part of a disclosure conducted on behalf of the website to alert you to this matter. But without proper disclosure, and the fact that these hidden tracking technologies are operating without you knowing, would you be okay with this? The solution, which I would suggest, is to increase transparency in how cookies are described as data collecting tools on the internet. Chapter 7 of the ACCC Digital Platforms Inquiry of June 2019 states that the ubiquity of digital platforms in the daily lives of consumers means that many are obliged to join or use these platforms and accept their non-negotiable terms of use. There needs to be a line drawn, and with interest from the ACCC, to follow the General Data Protection Regulation of the EU in cooperation with the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner. A privacy code of practice including the greater disclosure of cookies is to occur in future. There are many benefits and negatives for data tracking, but let's place a bit of context around the issue by using some economic theory surrounding market successes and failures, and how external factors and effects impact these outcomes. Firstly, it is important to note that when there are market success, it is due to the market and how they're able to allocate resources. If they are optimally allocated, this is known as being Pareto efficient, where depending on how much resource there is, its use is being fully maximised to the point where no parties or individuals are worse off than who they are competing against. Whereas when a situation is deemed Pareto inefficient, this is when market failure occurs. An externality is referred to as an influence on any given situation that has resulted by means that are not previously stipulated in a situation that you are partaking in. These influences can vary as far as government discrepancies, environmental factors, or changes in legal arrangements. Based on these externalities, marginal costs that are associated can involve the private cost, which is the cost on the decision maker, the external cost, the impact on society, as well as the result of the decision of the individual or party, and the social cost, a combination of the two. It is noted in these situations that a Pareto efficient scenario occurs when the general expense of the decision is equivalent to the marginal social cost. So what does this mean to all our data privacy? Let's take a breather for a moment, and we'll put this all into perspective in the form of a game. When relating all this to data privacy and the implementation of cookies, the two entities we will look at are the user and business, where the user engages with their online database or website. You are the user. The business is who you are competing against. The advantage for the user is to use a website and utilize the service they are after. In this instance, the business's advantage is to choose between disclosing their use of cookies or to not disclose their use of cookies. As you can see in the chart, each scenario, depending on the decision each party makes, will benefit both, neither, or only one party at a time. As you can see, This graph provides the assumption that disclosure by the business and the use of the internet by the user provides an efficient outcome. This dilemma is also known as the Nash equilibrium. Despite this being straightforward, it is important to note how much information collected is really suitable for both parties. That view is up for debate and is dependent on which individual is participating. A study in Germany in 2017 cited that individuals engaging in retail and aviation online services showed they were accepting of data collection, but partially in agreement to the release of their data to third parties. Despite this not being a unanimous result, we must always recognise that each occurrence is situational. However, we can have a look at the economic concept of externalities, as stated before. One key example of what market failure can be a result of is asymmetric information. This is when it is believed that one party has an advantage over its competitors due to knowing something they don't. There are two types of asymmetric information that we can investigate, both leading to ethical dilemmas. The first is referred to as hidden action. We can reference these to cookies as an example that businesses will elect to start collating data from a user, despite still placing a notice of that data will be collated and the user not properly understanding the conditions. This is leading or potentially can lead to a moral hazard. The second is a hidden attribute. This is similar to the first scenario where businesses collate data, but in this instance, they haven't properly disclosed the cookies and they are automatically installed into a computer and that data is instantaneously collected. This attribute is regulated differently around the world. For example, the governing body of the General Data Protection Regulation of the European Union aims to protect the rights of an individual's privacy, setting restrictions on organisational access to data. A standard is that a cookies reference will pop up on your screen like this on this European website. Many websites that are based out of Europe don't often present this notice, with Slattery and Crowitz in their Flinders Law Journal piece in 2014 noted Facebook is a modern example of how cookies have been inserted amongst connected websites which have not been properly disclosed, recognizing how users can be made oblivious to the nuances of data collection. If we were to graph these externalities, a view on the effects of disclosure and non-disclosure are as follows. As seen in the first graph, the marginal private cost, which is the user itself and the decision for the user to use the internet, given a business's ability to disclose information, is equal to what it is the full cost to society. The base level of 4.1 billion users is the average recorded users in December 2018 of internet users. It is shown that when disclosure increases, the likelihood that the number of users may increase as well. However, due to the vast users already on the internet and the concept of economics of scale, the overall number wouldn't increase drastically as the overall level of disclosure increases. In implementing a comparison of data, we refer back to the study in Germany in 2017, made reference by Gimpel, Kleindienst, and others, which referenced the acceptance and partial acceptance of data. The first shows an acceptance to data collection, as the second shows a partial acceptance to the release of the information to third parties, bringing about a lower marginal social cost. In determining this, the winners of this will definitely contain the users, as the overall increase of transparency brings about a greater private cost for them, offering a greater social cost as well, and for users who show greater interest in having their data collected to benefit their overall user experience in comparison to having those of their data passed on to third parties. The business would be viewed as winners and losers in this scenario, as it offers them a positive by being transparent and showing a greater support of legal obligations, which can bring about a greater level of trust between them and the user. Their negatives would entail the need to most likely invest in the ability to disclose their information to a greater extent, but through placing resources to ensure they're being transparent, it would be a benefit to their overall ability to be perceived as a business that is digitally compliant, which would also have positive effects to the overall digital landscape. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found this informative.